Nobody sits us down and teaches us how to love. So we are often thrown in the world of relationship with nothing but romance movies and pop culture to help us muddle through until now. So I just finished reading 8 Rules of Love by Jay Shetty, and let me tell you, this book is definitely a good read too if you want to understand the love, because we are surrounded by a lot of Bollywood movies, Hollywood movies, K-dramas, romance book. Even though I love all of those things, because I personally follow fiction character, I love a lot of fiction character. So there is this always a problem between being an hopeless romantic person and being actually logical and practical person. Even though I am a kind of hopeless romantic person, but at some time I also think about logical ways how you can find love, and I already made a couple of videos on love. Like there are books like All About Love by the Bella Hooks, then How to Find Love, then What Are the Love Languages. So there are so many books which talks about love, and this is another new edition which talks about 8 rules of love that you should know. So if I talk about this book is divided into 4 parts. First one which specifically talk about the solitude, second point which talks about compatibility, third point which talks about healing, and fourth point is talk about connections. And we will go through each and every part and let's see what are my learnings and what I definitely liked about this. Part 1 which specifically talk about the solitude of life or solitude of individual person. So Jay Shetty start with saying that solitude is important, and there is a difference between solitude and there is a difference between loneliness. You can be lonely, but being in solitude is really important if you want to find love. And it's not only about finding love, it's about first understanding yourself and how you can be with yourself, how you can understand yourself. All of those topics are covered into the part 1. In the first chapter, he specifically talks about 2 rules. First rule is let yourself be alone, and second rule is don't ignore the karma. So he specifically go into deep down into the past and try to understand when he was into the specifically Mumbai, and he was understanding how to become a monk and how much time he has spent with himself and trying to understand the solitude part and why solitude is important to understand love. So he specifically shares a lot of lessons from that point कि उसमें ब्रह्मचर्य वगैरह वगैरह वो सारी चीज़ें क्या होती है, and I'm not going to go deep dive into that. First chapter is more about understanding your solitude and why solitude is necessary for life, why solitude is necessary for the love. And if you have read a lot of books about the solitude, then you will understand solitude is really important. But the part 1 is more about his whole journey, how he proposed his current wife and how they understand there is this allergy thing and everything that you will read when you start reading this book. But part 1 is more about that, understanding first why it is important a solitude is and why you should not ignore the karma. In the part 2, he specifically talk about the 3 rules, that is compatibility, the rules related to compatibility, and after every part there is this one letter to everyone. Letter to your partner, letter to yourself, letter to your love. So everything he has covered in this book, and part 2 is more about understanding compatibility. So I personally am a firm believer that unless and until you are compatible with your partner, you should not go ahead in that relationship. अगर आप compatible नहीं हो, then you will face a lot of problems in life. And this chapter specifically talk about that, why compatibility is most important factor. Even I personally believe that compatibility is the most important factor to understand love, to go with it in that any kind of a romantic relationship. The compatibility factor plays a very important role. He talks about 3 rules in this specific chapter. First rule he talks about is define love before you think. That is really important. Second rule he talks about is your partner is your guru. And third rule is purpose is important, like purpose before anything. So he tried to clear how you should think about the compatibility, why your partner is your guru, why you should think about the purpose first rather than going in any kind of love relationship or understanding the love, because we forgot the compatibility and we realized that after the marriage, we realized that point after a very long time, and then we regret कि यार I would have been into the compatible relationship, then I could have done much better things. Because at the end of the day, if you're not growing in any kind of relationship, then it's just a waste of time, it is just a waste of energy, waste of investment. Because if you're like, if you are level this, and after the marriage or after any relationship, if you become this, then what's the point of that relationship? What's the point of going into that relationship if you are going, if that is going to drain your energy? Chapter 2 is basically all about that basically understanding compatibility, why compatibility is important, why purpose is more important than love, why your partner is guru, and why you have to define your love before going into the one. So in the love also there are different kinds of love language, like act of service, affirmation, word of mouth, and so many things there are in there is this specific book about that, and you can go and read that. I will put the link in the description. But it's all about understanding compatibility in the part 2, and there is this letter at the end of it that you should definitely check out. Part 3, he specifically talk about the healing part, like when you get into the relationship and then you have to heal yourself. At some point you have to heal yourself, and specifically talk about healing culture and why healing is important. So you talk about 2 rules here, that win or loss both are together. I mean, you both have to go, and if you win something, then it's a winning for both. If you lose something, it's a lose for both. So it's not individual thing when you get into the love or if you get into the relationship. So it's all about playing as a team. That you must have read on the internet, ki whatever happens, that is us rather than me or rather than you. It's always about the us when you get into relationship, and you don't break into the breakup. So there is this thing you talk about breakup as well, ki you don't actually break into the breakup. There is a very detailed chapter available, and I don't want to go into detail, but this is just all about that. And in the last chapter or the part, he talks about the connection, and there is, he says, the last rule of love again and again and again. So it is all about that, how you can love again and again, and why that part is important in any kind of a relationship. So these are the basically 8 rules he talked about in the book, 8 rules of love, how to keep it, how to keep going, and how to heal it, everything about that. Okay, now what I think about this. Well, there are few rules I already know, because I have read a lot of books on the love relationship, and obviously if you are going to read this book for the first time, then you are definitely going to enjoy it, because there is so much of new content you will find, which probably you have seen on some of his videos or some of the reels. You must have seen those content, but those are definitely a good point to understand the love and why the understanding love is important, because we have surrounded by a lot of movies, culture, which are not really good to understand love. And the reality, the practicality, the compatibility part is really important, and that is something missing in any kind of a relationship. So from that point of view, this book is really good, and this book is going to help you a lot to understand love, culture, and everything. So that is about this book. If you want the written review, then make sure you join the newsletter, where we share a lot of book related stuff and everything. So make sure you join the newsletter, also Telegram community, where we talk a lot about books and everything. So that's pretty much about this book. If you are looking for the Jay Shetty's another book, that is Think Like a Monk review, check out this video where I shared Think Like a Monk review. And if you are looking for the monk related books, then check out this playlist, where I shared everything about this playlist and book reviews. So that's all for the today's video. See you in the next one. Bye bye. Take care.